frightful scene of a wolf approaching a dog took an unexpected and surprising turn. Wolves are beautiful creatures, and when you look at these animals in the wild, you are awestruck by their appeal. However, like other animals in the wild, wolves are creatures that you should keep a safe distance from if you happen to confront one. Now, these are not domestic pets that you can attempt to cuddle them, as it can end up bad and these creatures can hurt you. In 2004, an exciting incident took place when Nick Jans was with his dog taking a walk in the snow. An Alaskan wildlife photographer, Jans was enjoying the beautiful views and his dog was also in good spirits. However, he did not expect panic to set in so unexpectedly as he saw a wolf near his house. His immediate concern was for his dog, as it was very likely that the wolf may attack his pet. However, something happened that surprised Nick Jans. He never thought it was possible, but the sight before him was unbelievable. A sudden encounter with a wolf. Nick Jans was sitting peacefully on his porch admiring the beautiful views surrounding him in Alaska. His dog Dakota too was by his side playing around gleefully. All of a sudden, the whole scenario took the worst turn when a big black wolf came out from behind the trees. Nick froze for a split second, and before he could react to his horror, his dog Dakota ran towards the large black wolf. There could be any reason why she ran toward the wild animal. Dakota might have wanted to play with the wolf, or she could be launching herself onto the wolf to protect Nick. Regardless of what Dakota had in mind, Nick was in a panic, fearing the worst for his beloved pet. It was not clear how the animal would react to the dog, but the wolf was huge and had a hard appearance. It was highly likely that the creature could attack and hurt Dakota. Facing a canine. Nick watched in fear as Dakota was near the wolf. He couldn't make any sudden moves, fearing any such attempts would prompt the wolf to attack Dakota. His mind was racing to find a suitable plan and to react soon. However, what happened next was more surprising for Nick. While he feared the worst, the wolf did not respond to Dakota by hurting her. Instead, the wolf started to play with Dakota. Both animals were playing as if they'd been friends for forever. Nick saw the unbelievable, but as soon as someone who has a wildlife photography background, he realized that Dakota was not in any danger with this wolf, who was more inclined to play. Nick rushed into his home to grab his camera. He was a wildlife photographer after all, and he wanted to take as many pictures as he could to record this unbelievable moment. Romeo the Wolf. Nick soon found out the wolf was coming outside to his place to play with Dakota. It was an unbelievable sight to see a big scary wolf gleefully playing with the dog. Nick soon thought about giving his guest a name, so he finally came up with the name for the wolf and started calling him Romeo. Nick found Romeo charming and playful, and the wolf never posed a threat to Dakota. However, Nick also kept his checks to ensure Dakota was in no danger, and he kept a safe distance from Romeo. But the more he observed the creature, the more he realized that the animal was playful and only wanted to play with Dakota. There were other dogs in the neighborhood. Just because Romeo and Dakota became friends, it did not mean the other dogs in the neighborhood and the wolf would react the same way on their encounters. However, surprisingly, the wolf started to mingle with other dogs at a nearby Mendenhall Glacier Park. Romeo played with Dakota, often went to play with other canine friends. It was an unbelievable sight. Not many could imagine seeing a wolf playing with other dogs. Not only did Romeo play with the dogs, he was the center of attention with all the other animals. There was no doubt that Romeo became the most popular animal among all the local dogs. How people reacted to Romeo? Well, people were naturally frightened to see a big black wolf playing in a park. At first, the mere sight of the wolf left everyone stunned and fearing for themselves and their pets. But much like Nick, soon people realized that the wolf was playful and never meant any harm to their pets, and it was indeed a sight to see. Romeo, who was bigger and more potent than any dog, and yet had no other intentions but just to play with his new pals. He never even posed to threaten any dogs and naturally mixed in with them as they played different games. Other dogs embraced him. Earlier dogs were reluctant to approach Romeo. He of course was a big wolf, larger than any other dog. The dogs too feared that the big creature might hurt them, but soon the other animals took a liking to the playful animal. It became apparent that all the wolf was interested in meeting the dogs and playing with them. It looked like Romeo was looking for acceptance from the other dogs. He was eager to be around them, and it was a mystery why he was so much into dogs. Was it because he was a playful wolf? Was it possible he got separated from his pack and was missing playing and interacting with other animals? He could be a lone wolf without other wolves around and seeking the company of other animals, and found dogs to be more receptive to his presence. Romeo was like another dog. Not only the dog, but soon people took a liking to Romeo. Nick too was bringing out toys for Romeo, and as he played gleefully with the toys, the Alaskan residents accepted him as well. With Nick's interaction with nature as a photographer, he was confident that Romeo would never threaten anyone. He loved to play fetch. Nick later said that Romeo loved to play fetch, especially with a styrofoam float. The way Romeo played fetch was almost as if he had learned how to play the game from all the other dogs who were his friends. Romeo was like any other dog. There was no doubt that Romeo was a big black wolf, larger than the other dogs, yet he acted like any other domesticated dog. Nick said that he was too amazed to see how Romeo interacted with other animals like other pet dogs, and Romeo's had enough know-how with his interactions with other dogs that he understood how to be around Dakota. Story of a wolf, a dog, and a man. Nick felt thrilled with the experience he had with Romeo and how his dog, himself, and the wolf all experienced something truly remarkable. All of them get along, and Nick enjoyed watching his pet playing with Romeo. It was one of the rarest experiences that one can ever have, and Nick counted himself lucky to see such a fantastic bonding and interaction with the wolf. Romeo was at home. Romeo was always around Dakota and Nick, so much so as it felt he was living with them. Of course, the animal was a wolf, so he never actually lived in their house, but even as a wild animal, he made frequent visits to Nick's place for almost 6 years. People who visited the Mendenhall Glacier Park between 2004 to 2009 were all used to seeing the dogs playing with the long black wolf. A connection with the wild. Not only other dogs, but also the residents were regular at the park to see the wolf. Not only the community took a liking to the animal, but it also changed their perspective regarding wildlife. People started to find more value for nature, and especially the animals around them. Romeo had an impact on people that truly changed their thinking towards the environment. Hanging out at the lake. Romeo was often hanging out at the lake where everybody had their dogs with them. Everyone used to come to the lake to see the wolf and see how he played with their pets. Still, for new people in the area, the sight was unforgettable, and most people who saw the wolf so close to other dogs freaked out. Few were nervous. The locals knew all about Romeo, but not everyone was comfortable and felt scared to see a wolf as big and powerful as Romeo. One can imagine why people felt frightened. After all, there are not many who have read or heard the stories about a big bad wolf, so when people think about wolves, they imagine a ferocious creature that can harm them or a danger to everyone else around them. Not to forget, there are countless movies where people see wolves as villains or deadly creatures, striking fear in the heart of the audience. However, in reality, wolves are not dangerous unless you provoke them, and these creatures have sharp instincts so they can sense a threat from humans and other animals. Like any other wild animal, wolves are not interested in harming any living creature and living their life as nature intended for them. They roam in a pack, they hunt only for food, and otherwise show no intention of harming anyone. As fate would have it, in the case of Romeo, it was people who became a threat to him. Everything came to an end. Romeo became a creature most people admired in the community. Not only Romeo had a friendship with the dogs, but even people did not feel threatened by his presence and allowed their pet poodles, collies, or landlords to play with him. However, as all good things come to an end, so did this fascinating story of the big black wolf. Fate has something else planned for the creature. A misfortune of Shakespearean dimensions. Nick was the one who named the wolf Romeo, but he had no idea the animal would have such a Shakespearean tragedy and would meet his demise. In 2009, some hunters shot Romeo and he met his tragic death. Everyone who learned about this felt a tremendous loss, especially the people who lived near Mendenhall Glacier, and saw Romeo often felt his absence and playful nature. The community of Juneau not only held a memorial service for Romeo, they even had a plaque made to remember him. A final tribute. One can still see the plaque standing in Juneau. If you ever happen to visit Alaska, you can check out the places where Romeo once roamed like a playful pet, playing with other dogs. The residents maintain the plaque as it reminds them of all the fond memories of the wolf. You can read on the plaque, Romeo 2003 to 2009. The spirit of Juneau's friendly black wolf lives on in this wild place. Above the inscription, you will see an image of the big black wolf Romeo. Living forever in people's hearts, the residents of Juneau still fondly remember him. Nick was the first who met the wolf, and he still recalls the friendship and bond that Romeo and Dakota had. Nick recalls how friendly Romeo was, even though he came from the wild. Some hunters shot him, and it was not as if they wanted the animal for food or as if he was a threat. Sadly, some hunters killed the beautiful creature. Romeo's story continued. A Wolf Called Romeo is a book documented by Nick, who gave a fitting tribute to the friendly wolf. If you want to learn more about how fascinating the interactions were of a wolf, a man, and a dog, you should definitely read the book. Subscribe for more.